I helped my family and paid all the bills by myself. But everything I thought was mine ended up being given to someone who didn't deserve it. I don't remember the exact day I became the adult in the house, but I know it was before my voice cracked. My dad left when I was 11. One minute he was there, bitter, tired, staring out the window with his hands in his pockets like he was waiting for someone to tell him he could go. The next, he was gone. No goodbye. No money. Just gone. My mom cried in the kitchen that night. Not loud. Just this wet, shaking sound while she tried to make rice and canned corn and whispered to no one, "We're screwed, we're so screwed." And that's when it clicked. Something in me shifted. I wasn't a kid anymore. Not because I wanted to grow up, but because somebody had to. My little brother, Nathan, was 8 then. Too young to know what was coming. Too young to feel it like I did, that cold, empty space where a father used to stand, and now there was only responsibility. I started helping where I could. Dishes. Homework. Keeping Nathan out of the way when mom was on the phone crying about the mortgage. I stopped asking for things. Clothes, games, birthday parties. It didn't matter. Every time I didn't ask, mom would squeeze my hand and say, "You're my strong one. You're not like your father. You stayed." That stuck with me. That whole idea that love meant being useful. That staying meant saving. And saving meant giving, even when it hurt. I didn't see it as manipulation. I saw it as love. So when I got my first job at 16, bagging groceries after school, I gave her half my paycheck. When Nathan needed braces, I skipped senior trip. When the heater broke in our apartment, I paid a guy under the table and never told my friends I was freezing in my room at night to make sure the living room stayed warm. I moved to the city at 22. Got a real job. IT support, then sysadmin. Nothing flashy. But steady. Good enough. Still close enough to drive home in under 2 hours. I didn't plan to keep paying. It just happened. Slowly. Naturally. First it was small, utility bills, groceries, Nathan's textbooks. Then his car insurance. Then rent. Then debt. Always with a reason. Always with, "It's just until we get back on our feet." But we never did. Because they knew I'd keep showing up. Because I'd trained them to expect it. And I told myself the same thing every time, "This is what good sons do." I didn't live extravagantly. I still wore jeans I bought 4 years ago. My laptop was cracked in one corner. I hadn't taken a proper vacation since 2018. But I was doing okay. That's what I told people. I'm doing okay. And I believed it. Until I wasn't. It was supposed to be a good night. That's what I kept telling myself on the drive over. I'd finished a big contract that week, had the rare luxury of a few days off, and mom had invited me to a little family dinner, nothing fancy, just something for Nathan, to celebrate his new project. I didn't ask what project. I never did anymore. I just said I'd bring dessert. Showed up with a smile, pie from that bakery she likes, and a six-pack for whoever was drinking. The house looked clean. Music low. Candles on the table. It felt almost warm, for once. Nathan had a couple of friends over, loud but harmless. Mom fussed over the roast. I fixed the light bulb in the hallway without being asked. It felt normal. Safe. Then I heard it. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was walking to the kitchen and past the living room when Nathan laughed and said, "Nah, it's chill. Mom already put the house in my name. Full inheritance. I'm covered." He said it like it was funny. Like it was a flex. I stopped walking. Turned slowly. "What did you say?" I asked, not loud. Just, steady. Nathan looked up, blinked, shrugged. "What?" "Oh, yeah. She's signing it over." "Told you." I didn't answer. I turned to Mom, who was just setting down a bowl of salad like she hadn't heard. "Can we talk in the kitchen?" I asked. Her smile flickered. Now. Now. We stepped into the kitchen. I shut the door. "Is it true?" I said. What Nathan said. She was quiet for a second, then pulled open a drawer like she was looking for a spoon. It's not a big deal, it is, I said. It's the house. The house I've helped pay property taxes on for 7 years. The one I fixed the foundation for. The one I paid to rewire. You're giving it to him. Ethan, she said, soft, like I was being unreasonable. You're doing well. You don't need it. That's not the point. But it is, she said. You've always been independent. You'll be fine. Nathan, he needs stability. He's not like you. He's lazy, I said. He's always had a safety net because I was the one who stitched it together. You never told me. Because I knew you'd react like this. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was insane. You made me believe this was ours. That we were a family. That what I gave meant something. She crossed her arms. It did. But that doesn't mean you're entitled to everything. Everything. I said. I don't want everything. I want honesty. I want respect. I want to not be treated like the backup plan you hide behind while he coasts through life. Her voice went flat. He's your brother. And I'm your son. I didn't shout. I just let that hang there. We stood in silence. She looked at the floor. He needs it more, she whispered. He needs looking after. And I realized then, she didn't see what I gave. She only saw that I didn't fall apart. So she gave everything I helped build to the one who never lifted a damn finger. Because in her mind, need was love. And independence was abandonment. I didn't leave that night in a storm. I didn't throw my keys or slam the door. I stayed. Ate the dry roast. Smiled when Nathan made another dumb joke. Even washed the dishes after. Because if I'd left right then, I would have said things I couldn't unsay. But the second I got back in my truck and shut the door, the whole act collapsed. My hands were shaking on the wheel. Not from anger. From something colder. Deeper. I felt hollow. Like I'd been emptied out and didn't even realize it was happening. Like I'd walked barefoot into a house on fire thinking it was mine. The next morning, I woke up and knew I couldn't keep playing this part. I opened my laptop and started changing passwords. Cancelled the auto payments for the property taxes. Removed Mom as an authorized user on my credit card. Froze the joint savings account she barely contributed to. There was no announcement. No big message. I just started pulling back. Like undoing stitches one thread at a time. A week later, Mom texted me. Hey sweetie, the gas bill didn't go through. Everything okay? I stared at the screen for 5 minutes before typing, it's not my responsibility anymore. She didn't reply. The next day, Nathan called. First time in months. Bro, what the hell? Mom says you're cutting her off. No, I said. I'm cutting myself out. She's stressed. You're making things worse. She lied to me. It's not that deep, man. You're still her son. No, I said. I'm her solution. And I'm done being that. He hung up. Couple hours later, I got a Facebook notification, tagged in a post from Mom, a blurry photo of the house, captioned, "Some people only show love when there's something in it for them." Dozens of likes. Heart emojis. Comments like, "You're the strongest woman I know." Nobody knew what it was about. But I did. She wanted me to feel shame. But all I felt was tired. So I logged off. Shut it all down. Started looking for a new apartment, far from the one I was paying for and never lived in. Made a spreadsheet of every expense over the last 10 years. Just to see it. Just to face the math. And when I saw the final number, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat back and whispered, that's what love cost me. I moved 2 months later. Small place. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, decent light, quiet neighbors. I didn't tell them the address. Didn't send a photo. Didn't invite anyone. I didn't change my number, though. Not yet. I wanted to see how long it would take. The texts came slow at first. Mom, I know you're upset, but I miss you. Nathan, you're being a child. Then Mom again, we're still family. Families work things out. But I didn't answer. Not because I wanted to punish them, I just didn't have the energy anymore. I'd spent years trying to earn what should have been unconditional. And for what? To be the one they leaned on, but never looked at. To be the backup plan with a bank account. No thanks. The silence stretched. And something strange happened. I started feeling lighter. I started sleeping better. I bought new towels. The soft kind. I finally took the truck in for a full service. Got the windshield replaced. I sat on my tiny balcony one morning with coffee and realized I hadn't felt this calm in years. I wasn't waiting for the next request. The next guilt trip. The next emergency wrapped in a, "Honey, can you?" I got a call from my aunt a few weeks later. She said, "You know they're telling people you cut the family off because of a house." I laughed. Not bitter, just tired. They can say what they want. "You okay?" she asked. I thought about it. I think I'm becoming okay. That night, I wrote a letter. Not to send. Just to write. I told them everything. Every hurt, every thankless moment, every time I convinced myself that being needed was the same as being loved. I folded it. Burned it in a ceramic bowl on my kitchen counter. Watched the smoke disappear through the window. A week later, Mom called again. I didn't pick up. But I listened to the voicemail. She said, "I shouldn't have done it like that. I thought I was protecting him. I didn't realize what I was doing to you. I hope you find peace." I didn't delete it. But I didn't call back either. Because peace isn't something someone can hand you after they've taken too much. You have to build it. Alone. Quietly. I still think about them. Sometimes when I'm walking home late, or making dinner, or fixing something in silence. But it doesn't hurt like it used to. It's just there. A scar that doesn't ache anymore. Last month I got a custom key holder for the wall. One hook. Just for me. Above it I put a plaque. Small. Simple. Black letters on a clean white strip, "Not available for rescue." When I was 15, my mom died in a bed that smelled like rubbing alcohol and lemon hand lotion. The nurses said she went quietly, like that was a favor, but I was there. I heard the way her breathing stuttered. I saw her eyes right before they stopped moving. Quiet isn't peace. Quiet is just the noise you don't know how to scream. After the funeral, my dad didn't really come home. Not that he ever fully lived there. He worked in oil, in shipping, in something vague and international that had him flying across time zones like clockwork. I stayed with him for a few weeks in that echoing house, but it felt wrong. Empty. Like the walls were waiting for someone else to show up. He didn't say it out loud, but I could tell, he didn't know what to do with a teenager who cried at night and couldn't fold dress shirts right. So he asked if I'd rather stay with Grandma and for a while. Just until things settled. She was already more of a home to me than he ever was. It wasn't even a question. Her house was small and smelled like dried herbs and old paper. She kept bees in the backyard and had a radio that only played jazz from the 50s. She didn't hug much, but she made soup from scratch, and she never asked questions she didn't want real answers to. I stayed a week. Then a month. Then the rest of high school. I visited Dad occasionally, sure, but he was always half-packed or already leaving. And then I stopped going. By the time I was 20, he'd met someone in Europe. Sent me a message saying he was getting remarried. Asked if I'd move out there, be part of the new start. I told him I was already home. I was in college by then. Community first, then state school. Studied business. Nothing fancy. Worked part-time at a gym, then a moving company. Grandma kept the same rhythm, gardening, bees, soup, her crossword puzzles. She never said it, but I think she liked knowing I was just down the street. We had routines. I brought her groceries. She slipped me $20 bills for gas, even when I told her I was fine. After college, I got married. Hannah was sweet, kind, grounded. When we had our daughter, Grandma was the first to knit her a blanket. Pink and white, soft like breath. I brought my kid over every weekend. Let her chase the cat, dump toys on the carpet, smear crackers on the window. Grandma just smiled. She never said, "Don't." She only ever said, "You two come back soon." It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was the kind of love that wrapped around your ribs and kept you standing. 10 years passed like a slow, warm song. I didn't notice how much she aged until I saw her hands shaking while slicing apples. One day she said she forgot the name of her favorite plant. We both went quiet. The hospital visits started after that. Small at first. Then longer. I took off work. Hannah understood. Nobody else really asked. By the time she passed, she couldn't remember where she put her glasses. But she remembered my name. She said it the night before, while holding my hand. "Don't let them take what's yours." I didn't understand it then. But I would. Real soon. The funeral was pretty. That's the word people kept using. Pretty. As if flowers and a polished casket meant anything next to the fact that she was gone. I stood next to Hannah the whole time, holding our daughter's hand, nodding at aunts and cousins I hadn't seen in years. They came out of the woodwork like ghosts wearing perfume. Dad flew in from Belgium. First time I'd seen him in person in nearly 3 years. He gave me that stiff nod he does, like we were business associates meeting after a long hiatus. Said, "She would have been proud of you." I said thanks. Didn't say I wished he'd shown up before the morphine. Uncle Ray was there, too. Big voice, fake tears. Told everyone how Grandma used to make him peach cobbler every summer. Funny, I didn't see him once in the hospital. Aunt Colleen wore all black with red lipstick and hugged people like she was running for office. Her 2 kids, my cousins, barely made eye contact. They looked bored. After the service, we went back to the house. Grandma's house. The one I'd been caring for, paying utilities on, patching the roof when it leaked. They were all suddenly sentimental. Uncle Ray walking around like a realtor, touching walls, saying, "Remember when she had that old piano here?" Aunt Colleen asked if I'd found any heirlooms while cleaning. "I'd love to keep something from her bedroom," she said. Bedroom she hadn't stepped foot in for a decade. I didn't say much. Just watched. Hannah noticed. Took my hand under the table. "They're circling," she whispered. She was right. The next day, the reading of the will. Dad was there, silent, sipping coffee, checking his phone. He didn't want anything. He made that clear. "I'm fine," he said. "This is between you guys." He meant Ray and Colleen. Because I wasn't part of that math. But then the lawyer read it out. Every account. Every item. The house. The land. The savings. All of it, to me. Full and direct. No conditions. No percentages. Just my name, clean and simple. The room went dead quiet. Then erupted. Ray said, "That can't be right." Colleen called it a mistake. They started accusing each other of influencing Grandma. Then, both turned on me. "You were always with her," she said. "You probably coached her. You manipulated an old woman," Ray added. Dad didn't defend me. Just rubbed his eyes and said, "Can we keep this civil?" "Easy for you to say," Colleen snapped. "Your kid just inherited everything." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have words, because I knew none of them would hear them. That night, I got the first message. "You think this is over?" From a number I didn't recognize. The next morning, another, "Hope your little girl's safe." My throat closed. Hannah saw my face. "What's wrong?" I showed her the screen. She didn't speak for a minute. Then she said, "They don't just want the house. They want to erase you from it." And she was right. I didn't go to the police first. I went to the lawyer. Same guy who handled Grandma's will. Old school, straight talking, the kind of men who believed in folders and eye contact. I told him about the texts. The calls. The weird car parked across the street for 3 nights in a row. He didn't blink. Just nodded and opened a drawer. That's why I filmed her, he said. I stared at him. What? The day she signed the will, he said, I asked her if I could record it. Just in case. She agreed. Told me herself, they won't believe it unless they see it. He handed me a USB stick. If this goes legal, you'll need it. 2 days later, it did. Ray filed a challenge. Said Grandma was mentally unfit. Said the will was coerced. Claimed I manipulated her during her final months. The hearing came fast. County court, dusty carpet, a judge who looked like she'd rather be somewhere else. Ray brought a lawyer who tried to smile like this wasn't a performance. I sat there with my own legal aid, the old school guy, who didn't smile at all. Then we played the video. It was grainy, but clear. Grandma, in her chair, looking tired but sharp, looked into the camera and said, I'm of sound mind. And I'm leaving everything to my grandson, Noah, because he's the only one who's been with me. The only one who knows where the tea bags are. The only one who stayed. She paused. I love them all. But they didn't stay. I watched Ray deflate in real time. Colleen wasn't there. Sent a written statement instead, something about emotional distress. The judge didn't even take an hour. Case closed. Will upheld. No contest. But I wasn't done. I stood up before we left the courtroom. Your Honor, I said. I've been receiving threats. Texts. Calls. I have screenshots. My wife is scared to walk outside with our daughter. She looked at me, then at Ray, then at the printouts we provided. She didn't hesitate. Restraining order. Court enforced. Anyone who approaches my home, my wife, my child, done. I walked out of that courthouse feeling heavy. Not triumphant. Just tired. Like I'd been holding something for too long and finally put it down. Back home, I changed all our numbers. Installed cameras. Talked to neighbors. Let them know not to answer the door for anyone looking lost. That weekend, I stood in the backyard. The bees were gone. The garden was overgrown. But the house stood. Solid. Mine. Ours. Hannah came outside, held my hand. Do you regret it? She asked. I shook my head. No. But I hate that I had to fight for something that was already mine. And that was the truth. I stopped answering unknown numbers. Blocked them as they came. Deleted voicemails without listening. Whatever they had to say, they'd already said it with threats, lawyers, and fake tears. A few weeks passed. Uneasy quiet, like after a storm when you don't know if it's really over or just taking a breath. I stayed alert, but nothing came. Not from Ray. Not from Colleen. Not even from Dad. I figured he flew back to Europe, back to his new family and his careful silence. That suited me just fine. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. I started fixing up the house. Not all at once, I wasn't trying to flip it, I was trying to make it breathe again. I patched the fence. Repainted the kitchen the shade of pale green Grandma always liked. Planted herbs under the window. Hannah took care of the bees. Turns out she liked the rhythm of it. We built a sandbox in the backyard. Our daughter dumped half of it into her shoes the first day. Laughed until she hiccuped. Sometimes I'd sit on the back steps at night, coffee in hand, listening to the wind move through the branches. It didn't sound like ghosts. It sounded like exhaling. One day I found a box in the attic I hadn't noticed before. Inside, letters. Old ones. Some from my mom. Some from me to Grandma, written in shaky third-grade handwriting. One of them just said, I love you even when you're grumpy. I cried over that one. Not hard. Just quiet. Like her. In the very bottom of the box was a folded note. In her hand. If they come for you, it said, don't give them a single inch. This house stands because of love. Not guilt. Remember that. I hung that note on the wall beside the front door. Framed it. Every morning I see it when I grab my keys. Every night when I lock up. This is mine. Not because I fought for it, because I earned it when no one was watching. And when I pass it down, someday, it won't be about walls or land. It'll be about choosing the one who stayed. The one who showed up. The one who didn't need a camera rolling to prove he cared. A few days ago, I carved something into the gate. Nothing fancy. Just 5 words. Not a threat. Not a warning. A truth. Subscribe, hit the like button, and explore more fascinating stories.